are having a live today with Sarah from the Really Helpful Club, who's going to be talking to us all about their Back to Business event, which is coming up very soon. So I'm going to invite Sarah in, who's going to be able to share more with us all about the event. So... So Sarah should be joining us. I'm just adding her as...
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Louise. It always amazes me, which I'm going to have to stand on tiptoes, I think. It always amazes me with technology and with stuff where nothing seems to happen, and then it suddenly happens, and it's sort of. I'm usually on your end when I go to the top of the screen, which is where I've got to stand on tiptoes, but also. I'm usually the one that's sort of sending the invite for the person to join. So it's a different process, isn't it?
It's always on the other side. And also, I never normally have, the bizarre thing is I never normally have an issue with it.
Oh, you've gone quiet. Very nice to see you too. Thank you very much for having me. And hello, I can see lots of people I recognise actually. So that's great to see sort of lots of friendly faces, viewers, people watching. So thanks for listening to this.
Well, I think I love this event that you've got coming up every year. It sort of always feels a bit of a milestone. And that's why I always think it's really good to come on and talk about it so people know what the event's about. And every time I've spoken to you when this is coming up, it's always dawned on me how much this has benefited people or the people that have gone, what steps they've taken. So let's have a chat, Sarah, about the Back to Business event. When is it taking place, Sarah? And could you tell us a bit about it, please? Oh, it's frozen. Sarah frozen. Oh, we seem to have lost Sarah for the moment. I've got a request. We shouldn't have spoken too soon, should we?
No, let's not be the Murray Walker of technology and congratulate ourselves. I have a feeling that the Wi-Fi issue could be my end. So look, if this goes wrong, I'd suggest that I go and reboot my Wi-Fi, we start again. Because the last thing you want to do is is actually really sort of upset everybody that's listening and just can't get can't hear what we're talking about. So if I'm not mistaken, you love this event. Yep, so do I. It's one of my favourite events of the year. And you want me to sort of talk about it and give a little bit of information.
If you could just give a bit of information to those that are listening about the event, why you created it and what your sort of who it's really for, that would be great.
Okay, perfect. Well, it's really interesting. This is one of my favourite events in the year. I mean, we have literally helped thousands of people, mainly women, to take their next step in their careers, in their lives, and just to sort of help themselves to take their next step forward. And what I'll do is just tell you a little bit about this year's event and then rewind a little bit as to kind of the background to it, because I think it's so important. And for anybody that's watching this is a brilliant day and there is something in it for everybody. So you may be wanting to take your next step back into the workplace. You may be wanting to start a business or take an established one to the next stage. But even if you're none of those things and you just want to come and have an uplifting, positive, empowering, inspiring, interesting day, meeting other sort of like-minded people, opportunity to make new connections, build your confidence, build your network, this is the thing for you. And, we'd say just don't miss this opportunity and to be part of something that's truly magical. And sometimes people say to me, oh, I'd love to come, but I've got such and such going on that day. And I would say, whatever you have got going on, clear that diary, come, because you won't regret it, because it'll be a whole year until you can come next year. So whatever you're doing, clear it. And we get a lot of repeat people coming. So even if you've been before and you go, oh yes, but I've done that, I've been there, we always get really good speakers, and it just gets better and better and better. So you need to put 29th of February into your diary. It's a Thursday. The conference is going to be held at Roehampton Club, and that's in Putney in London, SW15. Very easy to get to if you're coming by train, very easy to get to if you're coming by car, plenty of parking. It's the most beautiful venue. It's prestigious. It's a beautiful lifestyle and sports club in southwest London, and it's just a joy to be able to go and spend the day there in the first place. And what will you expect? Well, it's a day full of inspiration and full of opportunity. And so we kick the day off with opportunity where you have a nice, lovely, delicious breakfast, registration, opportunity to meet other people. And then we have a whole lineup of interesting talks, keynote talks and panel discussions. So our keynote this year is Mishal Husain, who's a renowned broadcaster and journalist. And if you were awake at about 6 o'clock this morning and listening to your Radio 4 Today programme, you would have been listening to Mishal Husain talking. And Mishal is of a sort of similar era to you and me, similar vintage, Louise, and has got a really interesting story to tell about communication, working with words, how to pitch yourself effectively. And I think really interesting, because this is what kind of our conference is all about, is strategies for those high stake moments in life, navigating key big junctions in life. That's in your career, in your life, etc. So I think she is an absolute not to be missed. She's on about, I think, just after the coffee break, so just after 11 o'clock. And she's just going to be superb. I'm so excited about listening to her. We've got Esther Stanhope, who is the impact coach and communications expert. For those people who came to Back to Business last year, Esther did a really entertaining talk about imposter syndrome. Well, she's back on that sort of similar subject, but talking about how to network when you hate small talk. And actually, I think if we're all truthful with ourselves, none of us particularly like walking to a room where we don't know that many people, and we've got to, sometimes you're not feeling on top of your game, or you're thinking, oh, this is a bit overwhelming, I'm going to a big room of people I don't know. Well, Esther is there to give you those top tips, how to walk into a room, make an impact, and make a difference to you. And actually, that can be not just in your business and your professional life, but that can be in your personal life too. If you're a parent and you're walking into a big school event, or you're walking into something with your partner and you've got to shine, and you've got to go in and meet a lot of people you don't know. I think these are really valuable strategies that can help you sort of navigate your way through life. So those are kind of our two keynotes, and then we've got 3 panel discussions. We have got one with Joy Foster from Tech Pixies. Many people would have heard Joy Foster before, who's just one of those. She's a superwoman, absolutely sort of a superwoman who helps women to become digitally literate, whether that's in their personal lives, in their business life, or even to train to become digitally literate to help other people in their businesses as well. So she has literally helped thousands of women to become skilled in order that they can take their next step in life. So she is super impressive, super interesting. And she's going to be talking on our panel discussion, how to start a business from your kitchen table. And so again, for anyone that is thinking about starting a business or thinking about taking it to the next stage, she's an absolute, you definitely want to listen to her. We're also joined by Sarah Weston, who she's going to be talking about imposter syndrome and how she started a business during lockdown. And I love her favorite phrase is, I choose positivity every day. And I think that is a really sort of interesting thing to apply to your life. And then the third person on that panel is Claire Jeffries. Claire is another superwoman. She owns and runs the franchise Home Instead in Wimbledon and Kingston. And every time I see Claire, she's won yet another award. And so she's currently Merton Business of the Year, Merton Women in Business of the Year. I might not be getting the titles quite right, Claire, so apologies for that. But she's got a really interesting story to tell. And I think people always want to know, why did someone do something? And Claire's journey of why she started her business, why she bought the franchise, why she does what she does, is just, it will resonate with a huge amount of people. So that's a fantastic discussion. We have a whole section on career change and unleashing 50 plus talent, which is going to be great. We're joined by Dominique Moss. Many people will know Dominique, who's the founder of the Return Hub. That's all about helping women take their next step in financial services. So again, a huge advocate for female empowerment. We've got Catherine Sermon from Phoenix Group, which is all about understanding what is out there for women and people who are in that 50 plus catchment, who want to go back to work, but what's holding them back? What are the barriers? What do you need to overcome? What are the skill sets you need? And then we've got Lucy Standing from Brave Starts, who's going to be chairing that panel. And then we've also got a great new addition to the panel. Crikey, this is my brain now letting me down. Michelle Ford from Two Women Chatting, fantastic podcaster, and going to be talking about their experiences of women and they've spoken to and what they're looking for. So that 50 plus talent is really interesting. I'm sure it's going to resonate with a lot of our audience, and I'm sure with many of yours, Louise. And then just to wrap things up, we have a really important discussion on know your worth. And I think it's a really interesting concept, this, because it's know your worth means so much, whether it is how you value yourself as a person, so in your life, how you value your financial well-being. That's an important theme that we run in these conferences, because feeling financially empowered, why do you want that? Well, it gives you the freedom, it gives you choices, it gives you independence. And so we think that's such an important theme. So we're going to be joined by our sponsors, Ruffer, Fiona Kerr from Ruffer, who's going to lead that discussion about knowing your worth. And she's also going to be talking to professional resilience coach Annie Rogers. So I think that is an absolute must. Really interesting. It's going to be very thought-provoking. And if that wasn't enough, you're going to get a lovely cup of coffee and a nice piece of cake, and then you're going to get a delicious buffet lunch. And then in the afternoon, what we do is we reconfigure the room and we turn it into these roundtable workshops. I know, Louise, you've been to this before, so you know what I mean. And so what we do is we then invite our experts to run workshop sessions around areas, topics, themes that we think that our audience are going to find empowering and interesting. And it's not people hosting those. So we've got Victoria McLean from City CV, and anyone that's come across Victoria will know that she is the gold standard in everything around LinkedIn, everything around CV building. So, if that's something you want to be doing, you need to be there. I mean, that's just a reason in itself to attend. So she's doing something called the Optimize the Power of LinkedIn. Rafa will be there, Fiona Kerr again. I think her workshop's going to be called Make Your Money Last, which again, really interesting in these days of rising inflation. How do you make your money go far? How do you create the wealth that you need for this long life that we all hope and aspire to? We've got a session on career change, finding clarity, which is, again, I think really resonate. We've got a vision board with Joy Foster and much, much more. So I think that's sort of plenty for a day to sort
of... Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
You've got such a lineup there.
It is. I mean, it's do you know what I always look at this stuff and I go, would I like to go to it? And you bet.
I would like to.
Are there going to be interesting people to meet in the room? You bet. I mean, what I love is every single year, there's always some repeats, people who come year in, year out, which is absolutely lovely. We love that. But we get more and more people. We've literally helped thousands of people to take their next step. And that's, that's why we do it. It's good fun.
That's what I love about it, Sarah. And I often think I've been to events in the past, and there's people I've just met that I forget that I've met them at an event, and they've become sort of long time connections, or we're growing businesses together. I can't even remember how we met actually, but it's not only the speakers, but the speakers fuel you with the inspiration, and then you make these connections, and it's just brilliant. And this is how I think everything works, really, doesn't it?
I completely agree.
Making those connections.
I always like it. The talks are so inspirational, but it's like the digestif. It's like the thing that gets you going. And then
it really does.
yeah,
I go to things and I'm like filled up with
yeah,
it. And I'm like,
it's a spark. It's the magic, and
yes,
that's the
it's
bit.
like
People
something.
who come to our events, they say, we could bottle this up and sell it. I mean, wow! And it's you just feel this magic that
Yeah,
is
it's so,
emanating around the room, and this feeling of goodwill.
yeah,
And often, people might come their own, and they're feeling a little bit nervous, or
yeah.
they're not quite sure what they're coming to, and they're the ones that literally. We're suggesting they leave at the end of the day because they are, they just can't get enough of it. And, they, and so there is something in it for everybody. And that's what I love. There isn't, there's nothing exclusive about it. It's just good. It's a real feel good factor that comes out of it.
It's an amazing lineup. I know most of those people that you talked about there, and I think to hear them alone would be amazing. To meet them, great, and also, like you say, the people in the room. Sarah, can you give us a couple of examples of people who have been in the past? So people might be listening today and thinking, I really, I don't know what next step to take. Can you give it just a couple of examples of people who've maybe been and where that's kind of led them to after the event?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, exactly. Well, it is really interesting, actually, and I love it when people then come back to us and they tell us, this is what I enjoyed from it. This is what we'd like to see at the next one. And the feedback is always amazing. And there's so many great stories. We could just do an entire live just about that. But I'm going to highlight a couple, as you say. And the first was a lady who came, I think she came to our conference in 2018. And I remember she was quite unsure about herself when she came. And she was at a rock bottom place in her life. She was at the end of a relationship. She was getting divorced. She wasn't sure where she was going, what was coming next. So she came to our Back to Business conference, and she wrote to me afterwards, and she said this was a pivotal moment. And she walked into a room of friendly, like-minded people. She felt inspired. She found answers, and not all of them, because just be unreasonable to expect that. But she said what it did was it gave her the confidence to take her next step. And one of the things we always say is that courage comes before confidence. And it fuels confidence, doesn't it? And you step out of your comfort zone, and it's that sort of neuroplasticity where you're building your confidence in order to grow. And that's what happened to her. And she was so interesting because she wrote to me about a year afterwards, and she said, look, I've gone on, I've built a portfolio career, I've started my own business. I rent out sort of every aspect of my house, so her driveway, she did spareroom.com, whatever as well. But also she became an art curator, which was kind of feeding back to something that I think a hobby or an interest or a skill set in her kind of pre-married, raising kids life. And it gave her that confidence to have a go, to take that next step forward. And what she said, look, actually, I've saved enough money on the back of doing this already that I'm feeling back on my feet. And who knows, I'm almost ready to take out a mortgage in my own right. And so, if you just sort of want to unpick that a bit, I mean, it's amazing. So it gave her the confidence to take a step forward in her career, the confidence how to get to grips with, the assets that she could, she could really work them better. And also how she could find her financial independence. So we don't take all the credit, but we'll take the credit that she gave us. And
sometimes it's just that step, and you just sometimes need these environments to sort of to find that next step. It's like a little kind of like a path, a guide on your path, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
And then the second person who I'll highlight, you're going to love it when I tell you who it is so this was another attendee. I think she came in about 2017, 2018. We slightly lose track of time, of course. And of course, we all had COVID in between to get our heads around. She was running a successful business. She was looking to take it to the next level. So different to that other lady that was coming, and it shows that, it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, is there's something in it for everybody. And you can be sitting next to and getting something out of the same talk that is different because you're in a slightly different place in your life. So she'd only just heard of Really Help the Club. This was her first conference, and she made the connection of her life. And she came to this conference, she met one of our speakers, and it led to her raising not just a few £1,000s, but tens, even I think it was over £100,000 to fund the growth in her business.
Brilliant.
And that was Joy Foster, who is joining us on our panel, on our entrepreneurs panel. And so, so she's lovely. So she obviously, is a great advocate for this conference, and it's sort of proof that again, you know, you can make the connection of your life at any point in your business journey. So so those are two really interesting examples.
So I think if you're drawn and there's a bit of you that's going, I think I need to come, then you'll know it's right. And I just think it's brilliant. Thank you for pulling this all together for everyone. Sarah, if people need to, how do they find it? How do they find out about the tickets, and how do they book?
Very good question. Thanks for that. So, well, you can obviously, I know you're promoting this on the Beyond the School Run
channels. Yeah.
So if you get the newsletter, you better go for it. If you visit Really Help the Club, we've got this, you know, you can book through links through our Instagram page. Obviously, you can visit the website, reallyhelptheclub.com, and it's all over that. You can contact me directly. Obviously, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. You can contact me directly and find out how to book. The thing I would say is that the early bird closes at midnight on Friday. That's Friday the 9th of February. So tickets cost £60, and that includes that breakfast we talked about, the coffee we talked about, the buffet lunch we talked about. And if that wasn't enough, and obviously all the talks and the workshops make your day your own. And if that wasn't enough to make it feel good value, you're going to get a signed copy of Mishal Husain's best-selling book. So so I hope you'd agree, you know, really good value, plenty to absorb from the day.
Sounds brilliant, Sarah. I am so excited about it, and thank you for coming on and talking about it.
My pleasure. Thank you. Well, I will look forward to seeing you there. And of course, you know, we love the Beyond the School Run community, and you will all be welcome. And just like those other people have, you know, gone away, taken something from it, I guarantee you will take something from that day. So we look forward to welcoming you.
I love it. Thanks so much, Sarah, for everything you're doing.
My pleasure.
And it's lovely.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.